Hey guys, I invited Nagi today to help us with understanding how to navigate the current job market. And so this is kind of supposed to be a discussion. Anyone who has tips and who wants to share anything, you'll get a chance to jump in after. But Nagi did such a good job preparing the slides, so so we'll give him time to
All right.
present, and then we'll get into discussion. Okay.
Cool.
Please introduce yourself.
I shall do that.
We're informally running this thing today.
I love
no formal
I love it.
introductions.
And don't let me ramble too long because I definitely want to make sure we have room for discussion. Hey, folks, my name is Nagi Ghazal. I've been in the industry for like 25 years, maybe a little bit more, but I just got a new job. I'm extremely excited about it. The company is really excited about a month ago I started. So, I had done some things and I feel they, were nifty, not excessively creative, but I'm going to talk about them that I think work well on standing out to try to find a job, the right job in a tough market. And we are in a tough market. So I'll share that. By the way, before I come into this new job, I've been in the enterprise quality engineering business, in the business of storage and enterprise data services. 8.5 years at Dell Technologies on the EMC, formerly the EMC side. And before that, 12 years at Microsoft. 12 years. Gosh, I mean, it feels like it's been a very long time. But by the way, that's where I worked and bonded with Tatiana. We had good times, glory days. Starting off in the online services, we were the renegades of Microsoft. We were not the monolith Windows, whatever. We were always actually kind of making fun of that big, massive organization. So anyway, that was me. Let's get down to it. I want to see if I can get you guys to think with me on this stuff. And I'm going to pretend this is the magic formula, but it's not. It is just perseverance, mindset, and honestly, faith. Really, you need that. I don't mention those three things. I'm just going to get more pragmatic here. People totally underestimate the need to define your brand. You've got to know what you are truly going to become all about. What you were all about may or may not be what you want to become, so be careful. So really define your brand to what you want next. Engineering or something. People say, I'm done with dev. I want to do something else. So take that and now go work what your brand is going to be about. I might show a slide on this item a little more with just like one tiny tidbit if we can get time. All right. The second thing is, don't think that you're just going to start applying for a job. Like, oh, I'm just going to go to some place where there's job listings. I'm going to start clicking apply. Don't do that just yet. Go figure out who to target, what kind of jobs are out there that suit that brand you just got done defining. You got to do that. Okay. And I'll have a little bit more to say, not too much, but I'll have a little bit more to say on number two. A few of them have follow-up slides. I don't want to spend too much time on that. Optimizing your profile, hopefully everybody knows they must do, meaning you think you have a good resume. Very likely you need to do something about the resume. Okay? As much as you think you've done all good enough, even if it's been a year ago, you probably need to brush up on it. Okay, and it's not just content; it's also approach and messaging. Okay, so there's a lot more about this. I won't be elaborating on this one too much, but I'll tell you what. That's one of the most common available piece of information that's out there on the net when you're talking about search. When you search the internet on optimizing your profile, meaning part of which is optimizing your resume, and then your LinkedIn profile, there's a lot of how-tos, and there's also paid services, there's unpaid services, there's people who want to bring you in, give you a free evaluation. Take all of them, actually. Go get your stuff evaluated. It doesn't matter if you don't like their input. Move on. Who cares? But there's a lot of people who offer that. So listen to all of that stuff because it's going to be good for you. So definitely don't just go with whatever old profile and incrementally add one of 2 lines and move on. And I'll have a lot I can share on LinkedIn and what to do on LinkedIn, but don't underestimate this, because like people look at that and you don't want to be filtered out just because you have a bad LinkedIn profile. And you're already being mostly filtered out, so you need to minimize the chance of pre-filter. There's a bunch of pre-filters, and you don't want to be pre-filtered, okay? You are gonna have what I would call daily or weekly tasks if you're gonna search for real for a job. It's a thing where you don't just say, I'm gonna search for a job. God bless you for finding that job on your first application. God bless you. That's probably, equivalent to a mini lottery ticket, but also good faith, and bless you for that. But that's not the normal thing. The normal thing in a tough job market is you are in the noise. No matter how good you are, it is not about how good you are, by the way. It's not. Right? You guys got to remember that. You might be amazing.
Well, that's why I love that.
Wow,
That's amazing timing.
that was cool. I hope we're recording that. That was neat.
Yeah, somebody needs to mute themselves and whatnot. Okay, good. So the point is that you need to know that you have obstacles to become visible. Okay, you have to clear obstacles to become even close to visible, to be in the pool of visible. Really important thing is you need to realize that one of your daily jobs is to keep growing the opportunities that you are going to be applying for. Keep growing that. So like one of your weekly jobs, did I add more leads? That's one of your tasks for the week. How do I add more opportunities to search for jobs? So you got to look into that. If we're lucky, we'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay. Sorry for the people who don't like writing resumes, but if you don't customize your resumes, you're again pre-filtering yourself out. I've got a neat tool to point you to that will let you do a very good job doing that. I started paying money for that service too, although I think it went free after that. I don't know. I stopped paying for it and they still let me do it, so whatever. But I'm gonna point you to that. It's like the last slide. I have a reference. Yeah, you definitely want to take the time, if you have the time, to retrain, learn, and do something with yourself. I took a machine learning specialization class on Coursera, and that I recommend to anybody that I know or respect or like. I mean, it was an amazing coursework, and it wasn't that deep for anybody who had any engineering background. It's definitely not. It doesn't require too much depth, but man, it gave you familiarity to a whole area that nowadays any engineering shop, somebody's going to ask you, what about empowering your engineering with AI? Well, at least know what the heck that means. So like that's an example of something you ought to do while you're doing an exploration exercise. All right. The most important thing in my mind is to figure out how to connect to the company that you're applying for, the person that is associated as directly as possible to the job that you're applying for. That by far is the most high percentage success way of being finally in a very small visible pool of applicants. And I'll talk about that, though I'm not sure. I ended up putting something on the slide. I didn't have time. But I will make sure to talk about number 7 some more, okay? In fact, by the way, I don't think I did a slide, so I just definitely want to give you my experience on how to do that. Okay, real quick. I don't want to be prescriptive, and I don't mind sharing these kinds of slides with you guys. If those who want it, just ask Tatiana. I can forward it. But this is an exercise somebody gave me, which is, don't mistake your resume, like experience segment, with your branding, positioning pitch. You need a succinct story about what makes you stand out. If you don't internalize that and know how to express it to a friend, then fine, you might get an application and an interview, but you're likely going to fail because a lot of the time the screening looks for clarity of purpose. So you need really to be able to fill this kind of a statement out really good. Okay. So I'm happy again, we can share something like that if you like, but Mark, sorry, question, somebody.
The second bullet, what does the M mean?
Ask me anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah, I'm sure that's a typo. I think it's MY. It's my skill or my knowledge or something. It's just really about special. This is a way to help to formulaically think about what you do that is special and unique, and what practices, skills, experience, and whatnot that you feel that you can bring to the table. That's what this whole thing is. Okay, it's that you don't have to use this formula, but it forces you to think. It's a great exercise I found to make your branding statement succinct. It's very important to know how to be succinct. It's not even an elevator pitch. This is short. This is like a less than 20 seconds. You're supposed to be able to tell people what you're about. Elevator pitch might give you a minute. So that's the thing about this one. Yeah. Okay. So it is, turns out, very important for you to expand your horizon. When you're looking for a job in a tough market, you're going to have to expand your horizon. You may not just simply take your current title or whatever prior title and just start searching for that. So you're going to need to do some exploration. And some of that's going to come from other bullets I have or other topics I'm going to talk about. But you need to do exploration. And a lot of it is by meeting people, talking to your network and whatnot. But you're going to find people give you good ideas. Take every darn good idea. Oh, you should apply for data analyst. You should apply for machine learning specialist. You should apply for data engineering instead of like blah, right? Pick the ones that you think make sense for you and do it. Okay. Start having a list of companies. Don't just wait for like LinkedIn or whatever job listing board you're on. Start thinking about companies. Like, where are the companies that I know or have friends or former friends that employ really good stuff? So don't assume the job listings are just going to come your way or that they're going to be visible. They may not. So you might want to sometimes just, I've got my top 20 companies. I'm going to keep looking for jobs by those companies. They may not be on LinkedIn. In fact, the best ones are the ones that are not yet on LinkedIn. So that's where that other bullet I'm going to talk about comes in. It's all about the network, your network. Anyway, so marketing plan means figure out how you're going to put yourself out there. And it takes some effort, it turns out. That's why I'm calling it a marketing plan. You need to really think about it. And there's more to it. I don't claim expertise in any of these things. It's just experience, recent experience, especially that I've felt was fruitful for me. And of course, comparing many other seasoned people that I respect. Yeah, so when we said optimize your profile, I'm just saying go get the help that you can, but like absolutely uplift your LinkedIn. There's a skills section in LinkedIn, by the way. Fill it up to its max. Nobody reads it humanly. It's all searched. So fill it up. Don't worry about LinkedIn. If you reach more than 100 skills there, nobody's gonna mind. Put them all there.
It's limited if you don't have.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the essentialist thing, the most important thing is leads pipeline. And it's gotta be about you coming out of your shell. If you're too much in your shell, by the way, you're just handicapping your job search. That's the fact. Too much, if you're too much by the book about I'm just gonna apply, like this blind open market apply, like that's so low yield. It's ridiculously low yield. Okay, so there are places to see. There's InnovateQA to stay alive and well with. It's beautiful people that you connect with that might give you great ideas any day and any part of your career. So
Get more together with that.
Tatiana's got
Way more ideas on
this
this,
expanding your network in forums,
than I do.
but there's also
Also recruitment services and whatnot.
don't spare any.
Anything that
And most of these are free up
up until you've realized maybe you want to pay a little, it's up to
to you at that point. But there are many things that are free online that help you with this stuff. So don't spare that. Okay. So when I talked about your network, this is the thing. You sit down on a very regular basis and you think about your past, and you need to start writing down names. You need to start writing names that says, who were the people that I respected in that company? Who were these people that I met in this other place that I think, man, gosh, what if one of them actually knows a thing or two that could help me? So you do that, and you keep that list growing on a weekly basis because you're not going to remember everything in one go. So you keep that list growing. So you got to think about that. And then I don't know if I have, let me see if I even have that bullet. But before that, I'll just say this. You better go out and start meeting people. Either on video, either in meeting rooms like this, or have coffee, have lots of coffee or beer or whatever you want. That all can just, at the very least, inspire you and give you faith to keep searching for the better job. Because if you don't do these things, it's a crappy thing to sit there and say, man, do I get a job this year or not? So meeting people is so essential in my mind to search for a job because it lets you realize you're not alone.
And you shouldn't do it alone.
Anyway, so cool stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, so I don't have a link for, but I'm going to tell you one thing about that trick number 7. Okay, that trick number 7 of getting how do you make it much more possible to truly get that first interview? You go to a job listing, right? You find the company. You immediately go to LinkedIn. You look to see if anybody in your network is in that company. If you don't, you go to the second degree network, which I think hopefully most of you know that, but if you don't know what that means LinkedIn lets you search for anyone who knows or is connected to the people you do connect with. Go ahead.
Question.
By the way, if you search in LinkedIn for the company name, it gives you a list of people
Right away,
there.
the moment you put the company name in LinkedIn,
Then it'll tell you people you know about, but there's what
what you want to do is
you want to like click on filters or something.
go to the page where it's a bunch of search parameters that include which degree of your network you want to search and how far connected are
Yeah,
you?
it's sorted by the connection level.
Connection level, right?
You connected and it's sorted by years and locations there.
Totally. And for example,
The activity.
so because if you go to that search, what you can do is if you find oh my God, there's too many people that are second degree to me, then you're like, who was at Microsoft? Because I worked at Microsoft for 12 years. Those are the kinds of things you're gonna rely on. And as soon as you do, then you go start connecting with those people right away. By the way, they could be the hiring manager sometimes, right there. They could be the hiring manager right there. Or if they're not, it's like, the other thing is you can look up the hiring manager that's listed. Sometimes the hiring manager is listed.
Yeah.
You go look that person up and you say, how far connected am I to that person? Folks, if you don't do that, you basically like 90% of your effectiveness is gone. That's why I was emphasizing this bullet number 7.
Add something, sorry. Dave.
Please.
So typically not what I have seen, my spouse, she's searching for a job. She just did an MBA. So it's a brutal market for anyone who has done this school. So she's been searching for 4 months now. Okay. She's doing an internship, but trying to get a permanent position. So what we have seen is if you see a hiring manager, right? You can give a connection. Yes, that works. But set up something called an informational interview.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So what you do is you don't interview for the position, right?
Yeah.
You don't interview for any position. Just set up a meeting with them. Tell that, okay, I'm a QA engineer. You are an engineering manager, right? I want to understand what you do in your team for quality.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Right? What does a QA engineer typically do in your team? Right? I want to understand how do you see quality in your company, right?
Right.
So when you talk to them, they're actually quite helpful. When you reach out to people, they actually help you,
Yeah.
right? So when you talk to them, they actually remember you, right? You give them a
Absolutely.
chance to remember you. So whenever a position opens up, right, you can actually ask them to either refer you or tell them that, hey, I'm interested in that position. How can I like apply to this, right? So that they always remember you. So put yourself out there in front of that person who's responsible for hiring, someone like you.
Or a trusted guy or woman next to that person as well, right? I mean, you can find the beauty of LinkedIn
Yeah.
and how connected it has become to people is that you can find that out. Even if you cannot reach the hiring manager, somebody who seems to be pretty connected to them, do that.
Do it, yeah,
What happened to me is people would reach out to me and they're like, hey, I've seen a position in your company. Can I talk to you about this
Company and how it's like to work in there. And I would be like,
Sure. And then I don't even know that person, right? But I agreed to share, like how the company culture is whatnot. So I've seen a lot of that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm done, by the way, from my stuff. This thing, just wanted to show you. You get your resume already tuned up, right? So you went to your professional or not professional services to help you get your resume and your LinkedIn profile. Here's a nifty trick. You go to every job description, especially the ones you really like. Okay. You go to this jobscan.com. You paste in the job description. You upload your resume. It comes out. It comes out showing you all the hard skills that are missing from your resume that the applicant tracking system that like apparently all companies use would be looking for. And lo and behold, I've seen that firsthand catching. That catches.
Yeah. Same with ChatGPT. Like if you have ChatGPT subscription, I mean, go for it. Use it. It actually helps a lot with tailoring your resume, putting in all the nice words. So it actually makes it look better.
Totally makes sense.
And there are some job search AI tools that do that. What are the gaps, and they will
Absolutely.
update and rewrite your project description and the work that you have done in that particular project and that company. Somewhat
To
like
tailor.
tailor it. Yeah.
so before we get into the discussion, I just want to applaud to Nagi for the awesome presentation.
I like the
It's
slide.
way better than I expected. You're like, I'll make one slide. So thank you so much. So we'll open it up for questions and any additions.
Yeah, thank you very much. That slide, that one slide where you said, I am good at this, whatever. It's
Oh, the
personal
branding
branding.
slide?
That's really awesome because I think everyone can use it. People in the job also can use it. Thank you so much. And I would like to add some more points. I think when you are in job search, already life is tough. But the thing is, one needs to figure out what is their the routine. I don't know if it's a routine that is related to faith or one needs to have like a mental strength routine, because job search is a direct function of your mental strength.
Yes.
Because you have so much self-doubt. I mean, I have done so much in the last 15 plus years, like all that comes to zero because somebody rejected you and nobody responds to you. Like it's a game of mental strength.
Yep.
But so figure out a routine how you can be mentally strong. I think that's the
love
key to
that.
getting a job.
And you
Yeah,
have to get
totally.
comfortable with the rejection.
Yeah.
You have
Oh,
to be
totally be
comfortable.
comfortable. Yeah.
You need to treat it as a lesson,
Yeah.
learning, rather than a negative experience.
Yeah.
Right?
And reading.
Just think learning.
Yeah.
Rejection equals learning.
And when you read those soft rejections, oh, we chose someone else over you, it hurts you so bad. So I mean nothing, like, have you seen the job description? Have you seen my resume? I'm overqualified for this job. You're rejecting me because someone else was better. Who else can be better than me? Like, it is so, it's very harsh on you. It is so... so you need to have some kind of a mental strength routine to overcome all those the replies that you get.
Okay.
Anna.
We'll have Anna. Anna, do you have a question?
Go on.
Or
Yeah, I have a word of support. So if they are rejecting you, it doesn't mean that you are not so good for them. It means probably you overqualified for them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because some
absolutely.
of the HRs, they are thinking like, okay, those person are way too qualified. We cannot offer her so development as she requires us to do.
Yeah.
So it might be the conflicts, when they do not fulfill your expectation from the company side,
Yeah.
so you will feel uncomfortable. So that's
Yeah.
not because of you. So you are better than other. You think that like you're better than one candidate, and they do not take you because of that. That might be the reason. It's not because you're bad. It's because you're awesome.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. We have such a short amount of time to talk to the recruiter and then even the team, even the full interview. To show everything you are in that short period of time is almost impossible.
Right.
And people have biases and people don't know how to read people. So it means nothing. If you got a rejection, it really means nothing except for some lessons that you can learn from it, right? You could say, okay, I could have done this better. But you take 10 candidates and you got rejected, it doesn't mean that you're the worst or they're better than you. No, they presented themselves better and they clicked with the team. It doesn't mean that they're better than you. It just, the interviewing is such a biased process
Very subjective.
that you cannot take rejections personally.
And the market is flooded with people like
Right.
the numbers.
Yeah. How many talented people? This is not, you have to edit, it's not
Yeah.
editable. So I have to
Oh,
click on the edit
I
first.
see. It's okay, doesn't matter. That sounds great. I wanted to add one more to what Anna was saying. I thank you, Anna, for mentioning that. People forget that is something that should not ever feel that it's a reflection on a failure from your side. There's also just other sheer, completely random to you factors for not being picked for a job. Completely. Like, for example, you should realize that there are a lot of job listings where there's a pre-selected candidate.
Internal.
Yeah.
Internal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because the company policy requires them to put it out there, they're gonna even go through interviews.
Yeah.
They even have to go through interviews. And you'd be like kicking butt left and
Yeah.
right, taking names, acing the hell out of the interview. And I'm sorry, man, it ain't even, you had never had a shot.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I was hiring. We had 700 candidates. We had to stop the resume because there were so
posting, yeah.
many applicants. We ended up hiring someone who was introduced to me outside of all of these resume things, right?
Absolutely.
So this is just how life works,
It's
especially
all
in the current.
everywhere. That's how life works. Yeah, absolutely. So being rejected on the interview, even if you ace it, sometimes you'd be like, what the hell? This guy give me even explicit positive reinforcement. I'm like, for sure I'm getting it. And nope.
Also, invest in friendships and find those 4 friends who will uplift you when you're down.
Absolutely.
The role of friends is like, you cannot undervalue your.
I cannot undervalue.
Yeah, someone to uplift you. Okay, when something goes wrong, there is someone to uplift you.
Absolutely.
But I do want to add something to what Anna was saying, overqualified, right? Like a lot of people get very frustrated. They think they're overqualified for the position and they want to be chosen because they're better than anyone else who's qualified, right? But as a hiring manager, sometimes it's tough because I know that they might have a different salary range expectation. So I don't want to waste my time. So I'm hiring for SDEV, by the way, right now. And one of the applications was a principal engineer, like from the same size company, right? I'm like, okay, I can talk to you, but I'm pretty sure you would want a higher salary, you would want a higher scope and some development plan. And I cannot offer any of that to you, right? Like, should I talk to you or should I talk to people who are more likely to be happy with this position, right? So overqualified can be tricky, but don't assume that if you're overqualified, you should get the job. Like, from my perspective, there are downsides to hiring an overqualified person. I know it's different kind of worms that we can talk about separately, but just
Also, hiring managers usually thinking like middle and long term in terms of.
Long, yeah. They want to keep, they don't want to just to, as a parking spot there before they can go to some other company.
You figure out.
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
over for
yeah,
five,
yeah.
feel boring in the
Yeah.
job and you quit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very likely this person will just using that as a parking spot for a while before they can find something else, yeah.
any other questions or tricks?
There are lots of, there's a lot of kindness on YouTube where people have shared like lots of tutorials about any single thing, like, AI, ML, QA, whatever it is, like, lots of YouTube tutorials. I think one should take advantage of YouTube University. I mean, so many good tutorials and, playlists that train you, like if you really want to focus, you don't even have to pay for Coursera or whatever. You may not get a course completion certificate through YouTube, but the thing is, the knowledge is available.
I have heard maybe, I don't know whether it's not true or not true, that some people value the certificate, so that's why like people prefer, applicants prefer like completing the courses with the certificate to show up something.
Yeah, okay. It's a validation that you have completed a course.
Something like this.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's a knowledge, the net knowledge that you gain, like you can get it from YouTube or.
Absolutely. They just show up that you are like learning a lot, you are trying a lot, and you are not spending the time between the jobs just doing nothing. That you are like, many people saying in their resumes that they are continuous learner and they are like happy to learn the new stuff, and these certificates usually proves.
It proves. So it's I think in that way, like Coursera trumps YouTube.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
I think they are currently having like I think till Jan 27th or something, they have a deal 50% off. So $199 for the entire year. I think that is the best way to invest your $200.
Data camp.
A data camp. Okay.
Camp last year, and I decided to continue my subscription.
Yes. And
it gives pretty good courses in terms of data engineering and data knowledge.
Yeah. And also with the KCLS library card, LinkedIn Learning is actually free.
But
so
the certificate doesn't have your name.
Oh, the LinkedIn Learning certificate?
The LinkedIn Learning certificate doesn't have your name.
It doesn't have your name, but you're logging in through your KCLS user ID, the first name and last name.
It gives the number of your card and your plus, but yourself is anonymous to LinkedIn.
Oh, anonymous. Oh, to LinkedIn. Okay.
I know that from my experience. I recently passed a couple of courses on LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
You just you can obviously put this data on your resume.
Yeah.
I don't think that the hiring managers will ask you to show up the certificate, and if they are in US, you may show the certificate and say that you are on library card, because this LinkedIn program is across all the states, as I know.
Okay.
Not only Washington States, and in California also.
Okay, so any library in the United States has free access to LinkedIn Learning?
Yes.
I thought it was only KCLS.
Yes.
Most likely. Okay.
We have one quick question online. How is the job market for remote QAE positions? I mean, to me, it's kind of like the same as for the full-time, for the in-person positions, like it's bad. There's probably less remote positions, but they're definitely available. Like the job that I'm in right now, I joined a year ago. That was a fully remote position. The whole company is fully remote. So I think I'm seeing a lot of jobs that are fully remote. But because like people in general, I feel like 80% of the people do not want to go to the office. That's the surveys I'm seeing, right? So but some people do. Like we have some people here who want to.
I love the go to
I'm
the
still
job.
concerned with the trend of returning to office still going on.
Yeah.
So it means to me that the positions that is remote today might not be remote
in the future.
But like I feel like it's a big tech tendency. Like Microsoft, Amazon will.
Microsoft, by the way, they're still holding on to their remote friendly.
Because the space is limited.
Yeah,
They decided.
Yeah.
But I think the
I don't
smaller
know.
companies are more open to the remote, being
Because of
fully remote.
budget.
It's still like being fully remote, but there are some nodes and traveling might be required, like once.
Yeah.
once-
The smaller
Yeah,
companies.
once a month, they want you to come to the office.
The smaller companies, it's kind of harder to hide. What happens in the big companies,
You can always kind of like hide
behind the people
from doing the work. And you're kind of like, oh yeah,
I did this, and then
you didn't do it, and then other people did it. So like, it's very easy to
like become invisible, not really do much, but still have the visibility.
even in person, that was the case. But remote,
It's even easier, right? I feel like that's their challenge and why they're trying to push for that. My personal
And
opinion.
even with staying remote, they might be asking and some kind of pushing you on the relocation, on the opportunities, and relocations, etc. And we still keep it this position remote, but somehow like making some incentives to.
And it's cheaper to hire a person remote because based upon that state,
Yeah.
you need to pay only very
Yep.
few dollars less than
Sure.
what you would be paying to that person if that person was remote in Washington. So this was one thing that, oh my God,
Yeah,
there's so many factors.
yeah.
That's why East Coast positions so mostly not considering Washington.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
No, the population. is
Yeah,
very
someone said it's cheaper to hire
Yeah,
somebody from
yeah.
Georgia than you.
Let me see if they,
Both are remote things.
I want to give an opportunity to folks online. Does anyone has any additions or questions?
There's one thing that I want to bring it up that I noticed, especially for the QA positions, that especially in QA, there's like a people, there are like a function, mainly there is a domain, right? There is like, if you're in finance or healthcare or any an industry, and on top of that, there is like a mobile, there is a web, and there is a API and performance testing and all sort of things. So now like companies, want you them to QA to know everything. And whereas like if you're a software engineer, then you're an Android engineer or iOS engineer, that's the only like a skills that is expected, and then you want to grow in your that career, right? But especially when you're out in the market and then looking for the positions, it's kind of hard to narrow you down. And so what's your advice on that? Like suppose if I'm working in a mobile for the mobile applications for more than 5 years, and that's where I kind of understand my expertise are. Mm, And but most of the position that I look for QAs, hardly there are any, those are like a focused on
Yeah.
mobile applications, right? A lot of them ask for the backend testing. There are some other that
Yeah.
are asking for performance testing.
Yeah.
Mm,
Uh,
Yeah.
Um, I would say, for the reasons that you just mentioned, do not narrow your scope
Yeah.
in your job as a QA. Like for developers, they could be a backend or front end. This is a bigger kind of area that they can find a job in. As a QA, this is already a narrow area, and a
Yeah.
lot of companies are already trying to get rid of us. So if you're going to narrow yourself down into one area like mobile, you're going to be not relevant. So definitely try to build expertise across the stack. I would say you have more opportunity to get to senior if you're looking at the whole product rather than just a mobile version of it. You know, backend, you know, front end, and you're looking at it at the system. This is your senior growth opportunity. In the mobile, I mean, it's possible that the product is just the mobile app, right? Sure. But it's gonna be hard to grow there, and it's gonna be hard to find a new job. So just don't do that to yourself. That's my POV.
And if you have a real product, start thinking product wise.
Yep.
And actually change your
Never-
mindset.
Yeah. Nevertheless, even in the mobile app, you have a lot of place to check like database, API request, the automation tool for testing mobile version like iOS, Android. So there is a lot of room for improving yourself here.
Yep.
Even understanding what types of mobile apps could be, how they use the resources, how they store the resources. how they're working with the different version of the, I don't know, mobile operation system, how they affect, what the standards. So there's a lot of things to build up and work with, even with the mobile app, if you have those kind of limitation on the project.
For sure.
Actually, mobile standards and device for platform are good enough to learn from the quality person perspective because they are pretty well standardized. They tie it to the device's ability, to the device's productivity, so that's why they are pretty good.
Brittany, I see you have hand raised.
Hi, yes, I do. I had a question. If I can go to that, that's fine.
Yes, go for it.
Okay. So it's along the topic of getting hired. I've been following AI in QA, AI in testing, right? And I don't know if I'm the only person who feels it, but right now it seems like it's flooded in that everybody's talking about it, but I still don't see a clear way for this role, like as a senior QA. I'm curious how you guys, like, what do you foresee happening with AI and QA? Yes, the front end, back end, and, having that full skill set, but with AI, where does that leave us for the future?
I have a take here.
Okay, Chandra, go for it.
Chandra. It might be a very unpopular take. I am pretty sure the near future, playwright, Selenium, automation, coding, everything's going to be done by AI. Okay. Or, like 10% manual and 90% AI. Okay. So, so in such kind of a scenario, where do we get value, right? Where do we provide value, right? As testers is by, either knowing your domain you are in, right? If you are in the banking domain, you need to understand the domain brief, right? Understand how the users are going to use your product, right? We have to start focusing on customers. So I was in a product demo today. So it's a AI-based product that's going to write automated tests for you. Okay, API, UI, it's going to generate tests in Playwright, Selenium, Cypress, you name it, right? So for the same scenario. And I mean, they just showed a login scenario to me, right? As a user, as a customer, I would not select that tool. I mean, I won't be doing login, right? So understand your customer, right? You need to know about your customer. So that's where, if you know your customer and with the quality kind of techniques and technologies, methodologies that we have, business is going to appreciate your value, right? Because you're going to think like customer. Okay, if you're going to automate the customer or user scenarios, right? Don't just focus on whether a field is editable, a field can accept alphanumeric values. I mean, those days are gone, right? So focus on how you can provide value to your customers.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think that a lot of test automation are going to be AI generated. But I also think that for a more complex products, especially in the big tech, it's going to be very hard to do that. What people do right now, they just upload their basic code and say, generate the test for me, right? Which is already is doable. But the products like I've worked in, like there is no way AI can identify the scenarios between a two like VMware products and tell me how they need to be tested and then generate the code. Like no one is capable of doing it, even if they have all of the code, because there's a lot of, like you said, product knowledge, product scenarios knowledge. So you might as well upload the product specifications, but we don't always have it.
Yeah.
So this is where the tester comes in, right? Like, hey, understanding the product, understanding the integrations, understanding how the complex pieces go together. So to me, it's going to be a long time until AI can do all of that. They can test a service, API service. They can test a UI website. It's not going to be able to test and generate the code for a more complex system for a while.
Yeah, when I say AI is going to take over, it's just to generate your automated test. So you still have to feed in your scenarios, your test cases, and everything.
Moreover, if we are talking about generated automated tests and generated code from people's psychology, from mindset, from how brain works, people like engineer is more focused on the code they are producing than on the code produced by somebody else. So that's why the likelihood of that code been had mistakes, had hidden bugs and errors, is more than the code of the original produced. And that's
Right.
when QA goes to stage
Right.
as well.
Yep.
Right.
Because like personal attitude, attention to the
Yeah.
details,
Yep.
curiosity, critical thinking.
Yep.
That's what QA is
Yep.
usually
Exactly.
like
Yep.
evaluated for,
Yep.
Yep.
regardless of the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Becomes more important than ability to code, ability to do any algorithm, and any like technical stuff that has been asked for in an interview for years.
Yep.
Yeah,
Now,
life has come a full circle for QA. Right?
I want to give a chance to Anna to speak up, but I'll just say that AI is not going to replace QA. It's going to make us more efficient. It's going to help us and make us, our life easier, but it's not going to replace us. Anna, did you want to say that or something else?
I wanted to say something else.
Go for it.
Hi everyone. I'm evaluating a product that generates actually business requirements. And from those business requirements, it generates test scenarios. And I did some testing with the AI automation company, and I did some comparison. So the comparison was interesting. So we put some like incomplete specs, payments, credit card payments, or like bank payments, which is it's like for all I would say a lot of like online businesses, that's a thing, right? It's a feature. How do you pay for your subscription, for your product, for your service? So it's generic, just like login. And so what I noticed is that garbage in, garbage out. It created some tests which were valid. It created some tests which were garbage. And I noticed that if you just give some information to the AI automation tool, it will not generate a good quality test for you. And then this product that I'm evaluating, which creates a complete requirements, it's basically doing a static testing on requirements, and it regenerates better requirements based on their criteria. So once the requirements are clean and clear and complete, then the test automation generation of AI test automation is a breeze. It's easy, and it's up to like your quality standard. So I kind of feel that this is what we're gonna see in our business, in our profession, that unless you put in very complete and good acceptance criteria or business requirements, the AI tool will not generate magically something good for you. You need to put very good input there. And I think that the role of the tester becomes more important, in that the testing of all the inputs need to be tested. And for AI product, as much as on any other product, the data you train your AI with makes huge impact on the outcomes. So your skill set of system thinking, critical mindset is really needed in that age of AI technology. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Thank you, Anna.
Very good point.
Sure. Like if you want me to show you this product that I'm evaluating, it's really good. It's actually focuses on shift left testing, which is requirements evaluate, testing, it's a static testing basically. And it creates requirements which are good. So I think for every tester, it's like a must have. So then for your business analyst is also a must have. So talk to me. I can show it to you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say we don't have time right now for this, but.
Oh, no,
Let's
not
do that.
now. Just connect with me.
Yeah,
Connect.
yeah.
I'm
Sounds
Android.
good.
Sounds like a good demo.
Sounds like a good demo, Anna.
All
So
right, cool.
How about we'll take one last question so we're mindful of people's time.
It's not a question. So is it safe to conclude that, testing or with AI versus testing without AI? So testing with AI is going to give a better product out versus testing without AI. Is it safe to conclude that?
I would say it makes us
Eventually.
more efficient, but it's not gonna add,
Still depends on the person.
and the product.
But given enough time, guys, it's going to take 5 years, first of all, for the practice of using AI for test enhancement to be done in a reliable way. So don't anybody pretend that we already know how to do this. We're going to figure this out. It's going to take a while. So we're going to the practice itself is not well known. The second thing is human engineer practitioners are going to retrain. They have to retrain over the course of the next 5 or so years to be doing the stuff that now doesn't rely on AI, but is enhanced because of the AI. It's just, the world has gone through many such changes. It's not the first time we have to retrain, right? In places and countries where there was lots of farmers that were no longer as many farms, people had to retrain for a while, and then they didn't die. They're fine. They're thriving. They're in probably better places.
But I would adjust your statement saying that it's gonna make us more efficient as testers.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean better products.
Oh, okay.
It's a productivity.
But
Exactly. It's a productivity tool.
better products, better productivity leads to better products.
Sometimes better productivity leads to better products, sometimes not.
But it is fair to say that, and I really firmly believe velocity efficiency is pretty nicely integrally married to quality.
Yes.
It's not like
Yeah.
they're not the same.
always correlated.
Better testers, better productivity of testers is better products.
Yeah, that's a big reach.
That's a big reach.
All right, let's take a question.
Yeah,
Let's take a hand online. Dmitry.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you for such a great meetup. A lot of useful information today. I'm based in Dallas, Texas, and we don't have QA or testing meetups. It's usually mostly developers. And today it was said that it's very important to grow your network, and I'm trying to think, how do I start meetup myself? And how
That's a
do you
Tatiana
have some
question.
advice? Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's very easy.
Yeah.
It's only one step. Actually, okay, 2 steps.
Come on, just
Create a meetup group, share it on your network, find the location where you can host them and invite people. But the second step is optional because there is a guy in Vancouver who said we're gonna do test walks. So he said, everyone come for the quality walks together. They all get together and go for a walk. And he doesn't even need the place to host it. So please reach out. I'll send you a few examples of people who started their own meetups in different parts of our country and even Canada. It's not hard. Also, there's a lot of virtual meetups that you can just join. And my last advice is you can just reach to people on LinkedIn that you don't know and say hey, I want you to be part of my network. So this is how I met Anna. I keep telling this story to everyone. A year and a half ago, I met Anna online. And I said, hey, why don't we have a virtual chat? And one thing come to another, we said, let's do a conference together. And so the conference that happened in August was only because me and Anna talked together online and said, we're going to do a conference together. And we never met in person until the day of the conference when that happened. So building the network doesn't always needs to be in person. It can be online. And I met plenty of people online. And I actually started, doing things with them, sometimes without even meeting them. That's all my tips.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
But reach out, I'll give you more tips. All right, it's 6:45. I think we should wrap this up because we've been talking for 1 hour and 45 minutes.